graceless, tarnished. What is thy business with these thrones? Ah, Godric the Golden. The twin prodigies, Mikola and Melania. General Radahn. Praetor Rykard. Luna Princess Rani. Willful traitors, all. Thy kind are all of a piece. Pillagers, emboldened by the flame of ambition. Have it writ upon thy meager grave. Felled by King Morgott, last of all kings.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Ghostly French Toast, and today's lore video is going to be on King Morgott or Morgott, depending on when you fight them. And so enough dawdling around and let's dive on in. So Morgott is the offspring of Marika and Godfrey. And Godfrey's kind of a Chad kind of guy. So he was basically this giant warrior. I'm going to make a lore video on him, don't worry. He was this basically very powerful warrior that Marika used as a pawn in order to get rid of everyone that is deemed a problem in the lands between. And after Marika got rid of everyone, she had no use for Godfrey, so she kicked Godfrey out and all the Tarnished with him, because Godfrey was also a Tarnished as well. So this kind of left Morgott and Mohg. And Morgott and Mohg are basically two sides of the same coin. One is in favor of the Erdtree, one is not. And Morgott, even though he is basically deemed a horrific being because of his Omen curse, which I'm going to get to in a bit, he still sympathizes with the Erdtree and still tries to protect it, even though everyone hates him. While Mohg, on the other hand, I'm going to have another lore video on him, basically hates his curse and basically ran off to be some kind of pedophile shit down below in Nokron and stole the Empyrean Mikola. But we'll get into that another time. All you need to know about Mohg is that he opposed Morgott, and after a while they split up and just abandoned each other. So going back to that whole Omen thing, so there's these enemies in the game called the Misbegotten, and the Misbegotten are these enemies that touch the Crucible. And the Crucible is basically the founding of all life, and it was the original power of the Erdtree that was long forgotten as Marika's reign became more and more like present. So what that basically is, it's basically the founding principles of life. So if you look in there's incantations too, where it's Breath of the Crucible, Tail of the Crucible, Horn of the Crucible, it's all that. It's basically the founding mixture. And if we look at these Misbegotten, they have aspects of all of those. They have the wings, they have the tails. And if we look at the Leonards, Misbegotten Leonards, they also share the similar traits. So that is kind of what actually happened if we look at the Omen, such as Mohg and Morgott. They have these horns sprouting and they have these giant tails. And they're originally like very shunned, like they're still shunned in the game. There was actually a deleted quest where it's basically one of the Lindell residents basically like, hey, Morgott's this great guy, but he doesn't know that he's an Omen. But once this guy finds out that Morgott's an Omen, he goes like, what the fuck, someone's got to stage a coup, So Mohg and Morgott are these Omens, right? And the omens that are born in Lindell are kind of royal omens. That's not saying much. They're basically shackled in the subterranean shunning grounds right below. And as the name implies, in the subterranean shunning grounds, they're pretty shunned. I'm not sure if that takes a big leap of logic to understand, but I felt like I should say it. So these omens, right? Omens that aren't born in Lindell have their horns cut. But if we look at Morgott, sorry, their horns weren't cut. So that implies regal ancestry, whatever, since they're born to basically the Elden Lord Giga Chad Godfrey. So, long story short, they are cursed beings. Everyone hates them, but they're in this regal part of power. So, where does this come into play when the Shattering happens? Long story short, the Shattering is basically when Marika broke the Elden Ring to pieces and the demigods all waged war. So Morgott basically took control of Lindell. He became the last king, as the name implies in his boss fight. He's the last king of Lindell, whatever. And Lindell's this very big hub because it's close to the Erdtree and everyone wants it, such as Godric, Radahn, and in the intro cutscene we actually see Radahn fighting Morgott and his alter alias Morgott. I'll talk about Morgott in a sec because there's a lot of stuff about these the demigods. So Morgott basically was just protecting Lindell because that's what he cared for. He cared about the Erdtree. He wanted to protect it with all his life, and that helped him create the Knights Cavalry. And in the Morgott boss fight, we hear that he the hand of the Morgott's hand of the knight, that basically is Knights Cavalry. If we read in his armor, it's basically the secretive force that Morgott basically sends around the lands between to kill Tarnish, because he knows a Tarnish is the one to take down the Erdtree. And that could be a problem if you're trying to protect the Erdtree, right? So Morgott basically has this secretive police force that goes around killing Tarnished. But then there's also Morgott, who single-handedly fucks shit up at the start of the game. Because he knows Godric ain't gonna do shit, so someone has to throw hands at the start of the game, and that's gonna be fucking Morgott, because Morgott's the GOAT. Morgott's the best, my personal opinion. Morgott's the best starter boss. I love Morgott. Then Champ Gundyr, or just Udex Gundyr, sorry. So Morgott, it basically sends himself as this alter ego so he can use all his own powers without people realizing, like, hey, isn't that the king of Lindell? So he uses the alter ego Morgott to help disguise himself. And this kind of works, but I don't think one letter in the name is going to be such big things when you're like, I am Morgott the Fell, and I am Morgott, the last of our kings. Like that kind of thing. Personally, I wouldn't believe that shit, but you know, it is what it is. Silly, goofy guy, right? So Morgott basically is the first line of defense because he knows Godric can't do shit. Because Morgott, and then you fight Morgott later in the capital outskirts. Because he knows, because deep down inside, I personally believe, I think he knows it's coming to the end, because once you kill him, he's like, foolish Tarnished, you know, you can't burn the you can't get access to the Erdtree because the flames need to be burned. And I feel like he knew that was coming. He just wanted to prevent it as long as he can, because deep down inside, like, this is his only family, and his his great rune is basically the room that holds everything together, because deep down inside, Morgott's the only one who genuinely cares about the family. While the other siblings were clashing with each other when the when the Shattering happened, Morgott was the only one who actually protected. He didn't go on the he only didn't go on the attack. He stayed on the defense. He's like, I'm gonna protect my home. I'm gonna protect what I think is right. And that's why I think Morgott is the best character in Elden Ring. Everyone says Radahn, but Radahn was a general. And yeah, he's got a cool ass horse, yeah, but like, he's a war general, guys. I don't know if that's a good thing to be celebrating. I don't know. Morgott, I think, is just the GOAT, because deep down inside, he generally cares about, even though his family's fucked up, he cares about them. But after the Shattering, he denounced all of them because they threw away their views. In the intro cutscene, we seen him go along like, willful traitors all. And it's just a sad thing. I feel like the world of Elden Ring is just acceptance of change, because I feel like all their games are big acceptance of change. Sekiro, Ashina needs change. Genichiro needs to accept that. Bloodborne, the world needs to know that hunters should be like, hey, change is, it's not nice, but it needs to happen. Dark Souls 3, or Dark Souls as a whole, change is important. You gotta replace the Lord of Fire. But I feel like a big theme in Elden Ring is change. And I feel like that's just something the characters in Elden Ring need to accept. So there's my little tangent about change. But yeah, I think Morgott's the best character. And there's a lot to talk about, but it's just hard to talk about without having other lore videos. So I can't mention them with other characters because there's a lot of connections. And that's where you can tell, like, the George R. R. Martin stuff. There's so much connections to each other. And fun fact, I'm probably sure you probably know this, but all the demigods have one of J.R.R. Martin's initials in it. So like Morgott, Moog, Godfrey, Renala, Ronnie, all of them. I think that's a little cool detail. So yeah, thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and see you next time on Ghostly French Toast. Bye.